Are you ready to unlock the secrets to financial harmony in your relationship? Have you ever wondered how to keep money from being the villain in your love story?
Always.
And can you really prevent money from ruining your marriage?
Welcome to the Five Guys, where we navigate the twists and turns of life's financial journey. In today's episode, we are diving deep into the topic that affects nearly every couple.
Yeah.
And money and marriage. You know this. You clicked on the pod. Thank you for doing that. Join us today as we unveil. Yeah, it's one of those days. It's Monday. Yeah. Unveil the 10 ways to prevent money from ruining your marriage, offering insights and strategies to build a rock-solid financial foundation for long-lasting partnerships. So, grab your headphones, maybe a snack, and get ready to transform your relationships with money. This is the Five Guys, and we're about to make finance a force of unity, not division.
There we go.
There we go. God. First slip up of the day.
It's okay. We do it live.
We do it live.
We do legitimately do it live.
Exactly. But yeah, it's an important one today.
Today's extremely important. I knew we were going to have to do this at some point because
I'm getting married.
Are you getting married?
No.
Congratulations.
Imagine.
Yeah. I didn't even know you were in a relationship.
Yeah, just, for the pod.
I found her on this website.
Yep.
She's coming out. I'm very excited.
Yep.
Definitely not a catfish situation.
EuropeanBrides.org.
Yep.
It's the move.
Yep.
It's the move. Anyway, enough of the jokes. Let's get right into it.
But the impact of money on relationships is it's so huge, and it unfortunately majority of marriages end in divorce nowadays, and majority of those divorces are due to financial struggles.
Yeah.
I think it was something like 70% of marriages or 60% of marriages that end in divorce, money was the primary motivator for their inevitable breakup.
Yes. It's it's almost like the first hole in the ship.
Yep.
And then once that hole starts filling up with water, the ship gets bogged down and more holes come. And it's just like, you don't need any more added stress on a relationship already.
Yeah, a relationship is already hard enough to make that choice to live with somebody. And now if we're going to go ahead and throw money, which is probably one of the scariest things in people's lives in general, the biggest stresses in life is money, plus a marriage, it's a powder cake, really.
It really is. Yeah, no, absolutely. So getting into segment one.
Yeah, the segment one really is that. It's just the impact of money in relationships. So, I mean, I can speak from personal experience. Mm-hmm. My wife and I have been through many iterations as to what money means to us and how we're going to relate it. And as a professional financial advisor and someone who works as a financial coach with people, I've seen so much of how different money stories, different money trauma, different money experiences can really wreck a relationship before it even starts. Yep. Because if they have zero ground for how are we going to communicate around money, what does money really mean to you?
Yep.
Again, like you said with that ship analogy, we're already starting our voyage with a hole in the hull, and we're hoping we're going to be able to make it to land.
Yeah. I mean, starting a relationship, I guess depends on the partner. You might be already taking on water in that ship. You're just like trying to shovel it out of the boat, and then it's like, oh, we got a hole. And that hole is, not having a conversation about money.
Yeah. So I say first we get into the 10 ways to not allow money ruin your marriage or relationship.
Not allow marriage to ruin your money.
Yes, that actually works. That is true.
There might be another pod with that topic.
With that topic, yeah. Get a prenup. So first for segment two, we're just going to be setting the foundation.
Yes.
So first off, number one, as to the 10 ways to not let money ruin your marriage, it's don't set yourself up for disaster at the beginning.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is overspending on weddings and the impact that has on newlyweds. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the normal American wedding here nowadays ranges anywhere from, depending on the country, $30,000. Depending on the part of the state, $30,000 to $60,000.
That's crazy.
That's a huge range.
That's
first
crazy.
off. Yeah.
That's a nice car.
That's
a really
nice car.
Like that's 2 Corollas.
Is it really?
Pretty much.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
You can get two.
You can probably find two
base model Nissan Rogues.
Exactly. That's a lot of money though.
Yeah. So $30,000 to $60,000, and those are for newlyweds. And unfortunately, most newlyweds, you're kind of maybe in the mid of your career, start of your career.
Yeah. Younger in life. Started. Yeah.
So having that financial burden, the moment that we start the marriage, we're already $30,000 to $60,000 in the hole. You're already setting yourself up for a pretty tough voyage.
Yeah, like the forces of life are definitely against you. I mean, you're young. inflation.
Yep.
Probably student loan debts.
Probably.
Car loans.
Yep. Especially for this audience.
Exactly. And, we're
When
talking
trying
about
to purchase a house, maybe
trying to
one day.
purchase a house, the mortgage, or having a high rent. What else am I forgetting? Insurance. I mean, there's
a lot.
There's a friggin' lot. So yeah, starting off, hey, we're screwed, but you want to have a $60,000 wedding?
Yep. And we'll just take it out on credit cards and we'll pay it off and we'll just it'll work out. It's fine because love conquers all.
Love does conquer all, but finance is a powerful beast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is actually, my wedding. We had a pretty extravagant wedding, I guess, in ways that it was in Hawaii and everything, but we were very budget conscious to make sure that we did not go into any debt for it. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they think like, it's okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe if we're lucky, a bunch of people will give us wedding gifts enough to make up for how much the wedding costs.
Yeah.
It's not even close to how much the wedding costs between you and I.
It's a once in a lifetime, we hope.
Yeah, we hope.
If you don't do it correctly, it will not be a once in a lifetime.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is that we make sure that we have a budget-friendly celebration, that we stick within our range. And what your range is going to vary from the person next to you's range. So that's making sure that you and your significant other actually have the discussion for what we can afford and what we can't afford, and try to stick as best as you can to that budget. I understand things are always going to go over. I had what I thought the range was going to be for my wedding. Take that and double it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Because
Okay.
things add up, especially after COVID. Things have gotten more and more expensive, and that's okay. It is what it is, but just make sure that you guys are both communicating with one another as to what's going to be right for us, and don't just have a feeling of hope. I hope it'll all work out. We will be able to pay off these debts. This is worth it because society tells me that I must have a big marriage in order to show the person that I love them enough.
Yeah. I wonder what a marriage would look like for guys if like they had 100% control and like
Courthouse.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, let's just order a pizza and get married. How about that? That sounds good. Like we'll get the extra double crust, stuffed crust, like
We'll go crazy with 2 toppings.
it get crazy with 2 toppings. We'll get an extra side of ranch. Dude, that sounds like a good night.
Yeah.
I'd remember it. Yeah, don't have me plan your wedding.
Yeah, and then you give me an Aura ring and I'll give you a ring pop.
Yes, exactly. So it's important to discuss the demons, basically, like we talked about.
Yeah, so first we're going to make sure that we don't set ourselves up for disaster. The second thing that we want to do, to our 10 points is discuss your demons with your partners. Make sure that you both have full disclosure before actually entering into marriage what your financial situation is. I think the scariest thing for couples that don't talk about this is you enter into marriage, I love you, you love me, here's the rings, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I have $100,000 in credit card debt, and so do you.
So do you. Guess what? Gambling problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't won yet.
Yeah, so it's always important before we tie the knot, before we do any of these things, that we have something I like to call a money date. We're going to go and sit down, talk about your debts, talk about your loans. More importantly, those 2 things. Also talk about your future financial obligations.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think it's because marriage, it's a legal contract. It's a legal binding contract, and for some reason the government's involved. And but it's very important that you have the clarity and you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like this. Marriage is really, there's not much of a difference between that and like a business partnership. And with a business partnership, you're not going to go and join like an LLC with somebody without knowing what kind of debt they're bringing to the table, without knowing what kind of obligations they have. You need to know all these things before we enter into a business decision. Why do we not do that when it comes to marriage?
Yeah.
It's because we think that for some reason it's not like sexy, but I think which is far less sexy is getting divorced because you guys didn't talk about this beforehand.
Yeah.
And now you're 10 minutes in and you're already trying to get out of it.
Yeah. I think in the beginning it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but I think, I guess from a man's point of view, I think the woman would respect you more if you brought it up because it's always like a cloud of shadow. It's like, where do we stand on our finances? How much can we spend? Am I overspending? I know I'm overspending. How much is too much? And it's like, you gotta take control of the household together. Be like, this is where we are. This is what we need. And this is how much we can spend.
Yep. Yeah. And that's going to be making sure that you follow into their, their mindsets around money, all those things, which actually leads us into point number 3, understanding your partner's money mindset. Yes. And then we have to recognize that money related conflicts may be rooted in temperament and in the way that they were brought up around money. So you need to make sure that understanding them and understanding their influences, their upbringing, everything around their financial perspectives is based off of their unique past, who they uniquely are. And you need to be able to try to understand that by actually, number one, first and foremost, communicating with your partner around the way that you view money.
Yes.
Because as we've talked about many times on this podcast, money means different things to different people.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, I know. For me, it means more snacks, more freedom. As you know, I love to cook. I love to eat food. And that's what it means to me. Freedom and food.
Freedom and food. The two F's.
Yeah, exactly. For you, it's travel, family, friends.
Yeah, autonomy is the big thing for me.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, aligning your goals is so important.
Yeah, and that's going to be segment 3, is that we make sure that we align our goals together after we understand our partner's money mindset. And one thing about the money mindset that I want to make sure that we go back and touch upon, when you guys do talk about your money mindset, I really want to make sure that you are going into it with a judgment-free zone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Oh, were you listening? You better be listening on that. That's a genius move. Yeah, because you don't want to go in and be like, yeah, so we're down 1,000 this month to Amazon. You want to know why? Like, what's the deal? Like, coming in with that level of energy and judgment would be crazy.
Yep.
You were asking to sleep on the couch.
Yeah, you are. But also from a money mindset perspective, if your big thing is like, I believe money is security, and like I think money should be safe, but your partner says like, I believe money should be spent for experiences, and your partner says that, and you go, wrong.
Yeah,
like
denied.
Yeah, denied. I'm right, you're wrong.
Foolish boy.
Foolish. You're setting yourself up for automatic failure right there. So before we even go into that, we want to hear them out for the reason that they want, because 100%. Just because you think you're fully right, it does not mean that they're wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I think neither, in that situation, I feel like neither are wrong, but neither are right.
Nope. And then the path lays somewhere in the middle. I mean, just look at me and my wife. I've talked about my upbringing. So money to me is security. Money to me, without money, it causes a lot of stress because I know it can come very quickly without money. My wife grew up in a very different situation, a very blessed situation that she had money. So her and I view money in two completely separate ways. I view money as security. She views money as something that can, we can always make more. So it's fine. We can spend as much as we want because we can always make more.
Yeah.
Is she wrong? No. Am I wrong? No. And then what our truth is, what we need to find is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And we got to find that middle path for both of us. And the same with every single relationship, every couple, every individual needs to find what is right for them.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's so important. And you also got to set your eyes on the same prize.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
a common goal is the only way to get there.
Yeah. You have to make sure that you're setting yourself up on everything. So I think couples, we've talked about money dates before, but couples really need to regularly check in with their financial goals. And I think most importantly, make sure that they are going in the same direction.
Yes. Yeah. Because if you're not going in the same direction, you're probably going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really are.
Yeah. And then remember that a household, it's two individual incomes being combined together. So most people have trouble already dealing with their own individual income.
Yeah.
Now we're bringing in a secondary person who's going to be doing stuff on their own as well. So it's very important that as we're going through, that we communicate openly about these things and that we have our eyes on the same prize as we move through life.
Absolutely. No, I think that's 100% true. I mean, you can't play, this isn't two single player games. It's a team-based game. Us versus the world. Yeah. And I think that not just for like full-on marriages, but I think that's how you should run it as a couple as well. Like it's us. It's us versus everyone, not you versus them and me versus them. It's like, no, we're stronger together. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
If you're not stronger together, that's not a great thing.
Yeah, no, it's gonna. Yeah, too many couples. I think they never actually talk about what their goals are. So instead of moving in the same direction, they're actually contradicting each other and trying to basically, because one person's goal could be financial independence, and the other person's goal could be to travel every year.
Yeah.
Now you can have both of those goals in the same goal. But if you don't actually talk about it, then it's going to feel to the person who's trying to achieve financial independence, every time we go on a trip, you're ruining that for me.
Yes.
And then the person who's trying to go on trips, every time you're saving money and trying to not go on trips, you're ruining this for me.
Yeah.
But if we're able to create a rich life vision and that for future 10 years, at least we now have common ground to be able to discuss how we want to move forward together.
No, I think that's 100% true. The key to any relationship, especially with finance, is communication.
Communication.
And understanding and coming in with an open mind. Like we talked about, no judgment. You're two separate people with two separate experiences, and you got to use those experiences to create a plan and follow, like we talked about last podcast and every podcast, basically. Make a plan, execute the plan.
Yep.
You can't just make a plan and do nothing with it, because then it's worth nothing.
It is. Yeah. Remember that in life and in all things, you are both the general and the soldier.
Yeah.
You are the general who has to create the plan, but you are also the soldier that has to execute. And that's where most people end up failing. They end up thinking, you know, I create up this great plan and this plan is perfect.
Yeah.
But that plan means literally jack if you don't do anything with it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's important not to call anybody swear words. You know, we don't want to use the B word, like budget. Sometimes we don't like to use that word budget. You know, Chris and I, we prefer spending plan.
Yes, we do.
I like that. Yeah. Do you like where you went with that?
Yeah, you definitely did it.
So everybody's awake.
Yeah.
Make sure.
But but number 5 of how to not allow money to ruin a relationship is don't forget about the B word. And by the B word, I mean budget. Here at the Five Guys, we're not a big fan of household budgets. We're more big on like spending plans, but actually having a little bit of ways to keep our money being spent in alignment is a really good thing. And now, due to technology, it's been very, very helpful, especially with advents of things like Copilot, Monarch Money. If you want to do it free, Rocket Money.
Yep.
There's so many different ways that we can now budget together as a group. So both, it's not just what my accounts are doing, but what our accounts are doing.
Yes.
So that we know what's happening together. Because you don't want to look at the spending at the end of the month or at the end of the year and be like, what the hell happened to all the money? How can nails cost this much?
Yeah, right. Dude. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my mom the other day, and I was like, how much? Because I'm getting a haircut, because, you know, I've needed to get a haircut for about 6 years now. And that's an inside joke because my hair is a mess, if you guys can't see me on the pod. But I was like, how much is your haircut? She's like, well, 45. And she's like, but when I get it colored, it's like 100. And I was talking to another friend of mine, and they were saying 250.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, dang, that's crazy. It's crazy. So, I mean, definitely having a spending plan to allocate proper funds towards, you know, keeping yourself healthy, you know, whether that's the gym, haircut, nail salon, massage, even maybe.
Yep.
You know, we can have fun things in life. We just got to plan for them.
Yep. And because if two people are doing different things, and we think, like in my mind, 50% of our money should be going to savings. But in my wife's mind, if it's 5% of money should be going to savings, we have a huge disconnect.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to talk about those things and budget accordingly. So maybe it could be 50% of the money needs to go to our household things. 30% can maybe go to savings, and then 20% can go towards having fun and doing all the nice stuff.
Yes.
Whatever's right or wrong for you is totally fine, but we have to make sure that we set a joint budget together or a joint spending plan together. But in addition to that, since we are two individual people, also set up individual budgets and how that's going to work with one another so that we always have discretionary money that we can spend without having to ask our partner.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone wants to be in that situation where I have to ask mommy, can I spend this money?
Yeah, it's not romantic to be like, honey, can I get this Lego set? You're like, you're a grown-ass man. Get back to work. It's like, no, it's like, you definitely should have your own money. No, I mean, I'm not saying like contradicting everything we just talked about, but there definitely needs to be like you said, a little discretionary fund.
Oh yeah, fun money is very important to have. I mean, and it doesn't need to be constantly reported on to your partner.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I spent this money on nails, and now we have to have a discussion as to, are your nails really that important?
Yeah, you're like, they don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, like that means nothing to me, but that doesn't mean anything because it comes down to communication, understanding that you're a unique person. You're doing the best you can with the situation that you have. And because something is not important to me, that doesn't mean that it's not important to you.
Yeah, I think we were talking before the pod, like there's a set, like I think you said, if you don't mind me saying the number, like $500 a month, basically for your wife and for you separately. So you get 500, she gets 500, to whatever you want to spend it on.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep. Have fun. Go crazy.
Go crazy. And you know, you don't have to spend it all, but if you want to spend it all, no problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, what my wife and I do is if you spend over it, then that means the next month you have less.
Oh, I see.
But if you don't spend as much, the next month it rolls over and you have more.
Really?
Yeah, because it's always good to have fun. And I don't believe in, we have the money to do it, so why not?
Yeah. So how do you track that? Just quick question, just quick little the whole thing. Like, how do you track that? Is that all in your spreadsheet?
That's all in my spreadsheet.
You're all in your spreadsheet. Okay.
Everything is in my spreadsheet.
Interesting. Now, question. I know you. I know how you live. You don't blow the 500 every month.
Nope.
What's the no? Is it a pretty high number at this point?
My wife just takes it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we have 500 each, and then I spend 200, and my wife spends 800.
Gotcha.
She just takes my money.
Gotcha. Yep. I mean, you love her, so.
But that's a big thing too, right? Is since we communicate about these things, we actually have like, I think too many people in relationships, they're going tit for tat. Like, oh, you spent $100 on your nails. Well, I'm gonna buy a new part for my car.
Yeah.
And they're basically competing with each other of who can spend more money. And you know, I feel like this always needs to, or like they always think like it needs to even out. The amount of money you spend, I need to spend the same amount, or I'm losing something. Yeah. But this is a marriage. This is a partnership. Just because you spent $1,000 on looking pretty, that does not mean that I need to spend $1,000 on something else.
True. That's true. Yeah. You know, there's no sense competing with yourself if it's just you're both going downhill.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're just screwing yourselves, and nobody cares, and nobody is watching, and it's just not healthy.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
So getting back on track.
Yeah, getting back on track, I assume we move to segment 4.
Yes.
Communication and transparency.
Yes.
Like we already talked about, this all, like the biggest thing around being good with finances with a marriage is open communication, non-judging, open communication, where you're trying to actually understand the other person without telling them this is the way that I see it and my way is right.
Yes.
Because neither one of you are right.
Oh.
You're probably both a little wrong.
Probably.
So number 6 is stop keeping secrets.
Financially.
Yeah. I
mean, probably.
Probably in all things.
In our notes, it was like parentheses, financial infidelity. And then I just like saw it and I was like, financially? And he was like, no, probably for everything.
Probably everything. The only thing you should probably keep a secret on is like a birthday
presents, when you're going to propose, or how you're going to propose. Probably not when.
secret trips.
Secret trips, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Secret gifts, yeah.
Yeah, secret gifts. I wouldn't think of anything of that. But financial infidelity is something very different. Financial infidelity is where you basically have a separate set of books that you are not telling your partner about. So, unfortunately,
I see.
I've heard of people doing this where finance books, where you're just keeping money outside of your partner.
Off the book.
Off the books.
Gotcha.
Completely off. So remember we've talked about that you could actually have your paycheck split to go to different places. I've met with couples who, 60% of their money was going to the bank account that was joint, but the other 40% was going to his bank account that he was doing side stuff with.
Yeah.
So again, now we're no longer communicating. We're keeping secrets, and you're keeping those secrets at the peril of your relationship.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we don't have hidden financial accounts, no secret spending. And I mean, honestly, just be open about it with your partner. If you blew the budget, the worst thing you can do is try to hide it from your partner. Just tell them, hey, I screwed up. And then you guys can actually come up with a plan together for how you're going to move forward from that.
I agree. I 100% agree. Yeah, no, and give them some breathing room too. I think that's point number 7, obviously. But you got to cut some people some slack sometimes, because we're human. We make mistakes. We make errors. I make mistakes. I'm sure Chris makes mistakes too. And
Nope. Never
made a mistake in his life. I'm sorry. That was my bad. See, again, another mistake.
Yep.
But it's important, everybody but Chris, give them breathing room. But yeah, do you want to talk about point number 7 a little bit?
Yeah, I think, just like you said, Dom, it's really important that I think so many of us, we think that you screwed up because you want to hurt me. Like you knew what this would mean if you spent this money.
Yeah.
You went to Target and you spent double the amount that you said you were going to, and you did that to spite me for whatever reason. Yeah. But no, maybe they just had a lapse of judgment for a second, and then you reacting the way that you did by like freaking the hell out is going to stop them from being open with you in the future. So give people breathing room. And I always like to say, people are doing the best they can with the information they have at the time.
Yes, I agree.
So try to always extend that to yourself. It's always important that try to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
For what they were seeing at the time, whatever they did made sense.
Yeah.
And then try to look at it from their perspective.
I think that goes back to like, the fun money budget.
Yep.
It's like having your own fun money to do whatever you want with it and not worrying about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to be able to set that aside. And then whatever that means for you, what is your fun budget? That's going to vary from person to person. And with that, I say we move on to segment 5, which is establishing your systems.
Yes.
So number 8 is come up with systems like CPUs.
Tell me about
CPUs means cost per unit for spending.
it. Okay.
So we should kind of come up with ways of looking at things for how we're going to basically meet the world. Does that make sense on that?
Could you go a little more into detail?
Yeah. So for me, if I'm looking at, hey, I have to drive out to Tempe, which is pretty far from where we are,
40 minutes or so?
40 minutes or so.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to cost this much in gas.
Okay, I see.
But if I get there, then this is what I'm expecting to be able to make off of that.
I see.
In terms of joy, in terms of a business deal, whatever. Experience, whatever. But my wife's saying, oh, well, the amount that's going to cost you for gas, if I triple that, I can get my nails done. And then for her, then is that really worth it? Is like that spending really worth it? So coming up with those kind of rough guidelines, I think, is usually pretty important for couples to do. We can expand upon that at a different time.
Yeah, I definitely would love that.
Yeah.
That's really important.
But the big thing is we're finding mutually agreed upon systems for responsible spending
Yes.
and making sure that both people understand. And this can honestly be as simple as what I talked about earlier, that we have $500, my wife and I, to spend however we want to. We don't have to talk to each other. So you should definitely, with your partner, establish some ground rules for significant purchases in which you don't have to speak with one another.
Yeah.
And then over a limit, you do have to speak with one another. So for my wife and I, if we're purchasing something for the house, if it's under $100, we just do it.
Gotcha.
But if it's over $100, we communicate with one another.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Interesting.
Yeah, so you have to agree upon that amount for you. I've had other friends who I've asked that question, like, do you guys have agreed upon a number? And they're like, oh yeah, my husband said it's $10,000. So, they can range wildly. I think $10,000 is crazy.
That's pretty wild. That can depending on your income.
Yeah, depending on your income.
If I'm making, $100K a month, then 10,000 is like a drop in the pan.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. I like that. I didn't expect that.
What?
The whole like CPU thing and like the concept of like spending that and like coming up with like, okay, if it's more than this, we should talk about it. If it's less than this, yeah, we'll just get it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes down to like we have set up a system. We have ground rules. Now we need to execute on those ground rules and communicate with one another. And if you screw up, be open about it. All of this builds on top of each other, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Segment 6, relationship dynamics.
Yes.
So for number 9 of how to make sure that we never, out of the 10 rules, is remember the golden rule. Remember the golden rule from when you were a kid?
The one from Willy Wonka?
The golden ticket?
Oh, I'm just hungry again. No, what's the golden rule?
Treat others the way that you want to be treated.
Oh, okay.
So treat your spouse the way that you wanted to be treated.
Yeah.
And what that means is with respect, with open communication, and when there is financial disagreement, understand that they are doing the best that they can and they are not trying to spite you.
Yes.
Try to look at it from their point of view.
How do you become better at looking at things from other people's point of view? Because I know one thing for me personally is that I'm not the best at seeing things through other people's eyes. Like I can hear your story and like understand it, but obviously like I don't know your story unless I've lived your story. So do you have any tips for, being better, not just to people, but to like putting yourselves in their shoes?
I think the biggest thing for me that helped with that, because I had a lot of trouble with it, was reading a lot and like reading a lot of like fiction. Because when you read fiction, like you're putting yourself into the mind of that character.
Interesting.
So by being able to do that enough times through like reading books or reading things like that, I'm now able to like see someone else's story and be like, oh, I understand. Like, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I get it. From where you are in life, what you learned, what you're doing right now makes complete sense, even if you're acting like an asshole.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense.
And then we can even take this golden rule onto the next level, which is the platinum rule, which is don't treat your spouse the way that you want to be treated. Treat them the way that they want to be treated.
Yes.
So we can take it even another level up.
I like that. Is there like a gold, platinum, silver? Is there like a silver one?
Well, silver would be below gold, so
Interesting.
treat them a way. Like
Treat them away. Okay. So let's get on to our. Are we on the final one already?
we are on the final one.
Number 10 already.
Segment
7. Number 10.
Number 10, what we're trying to do is seeking external help.
Yes.
So sometimes in a marriage, in all things in life, it's important to call in the big guns, to call in reinforcements if things are really getting bogged down in the minutia.
We do it every day. Like Chris and I, when we're working on the podcast, you know, if we don't know how to do something, we go to ask for help. We ask the internet, we ask ChatGPT, we figure it out, we call in the reinforcements. And I think there's honestly, I feel like there's some like stigmatism around calling in like reinforcements, whether that be for like marriage counseling or like calling in a financial planner or preparing for, you know, like getting a trust and preparing for the end or a will. I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with calling in backup. You know, it's funny. It's like you spent your whole life working in finance. Why wouldn't I want your help? You know?
Yeah.
You've dedicated your life to it. It's a hobby for most people. You know, it's like, it's just something that we talk about versus like
A hobby or something that you actively avoid.
Exactly. It's like, it would be so beneficial to you to get in touch with someone who's like obsessed with money, obsessed with finance, obsessed with helping you become your best financial self.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so many times when couples talk about money, it's already a very uncomfortable discussion to have.
Yes.
And now we're having a disagreement. And now this fight about money ends up breaking out into 20 other things.
Yeah.
And you forgot to do this.
Yeah.
And now we're going tit for tat. And you didn't wash the dishes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you spanked the kid. And like on all these other things.
It's not good.
That have nothing to do with money. So sometimes having a neutral third party there, be able to discuss what money means to you and why you guys are reacting that way. And just someone to be able to really help with that. And, you know, financial therapy is really an emerging field that Mons on Wealth has been kind of leading the way on, being able to help people through that way, melding the psychology with the finances. Because money, everyone thinks it's this rational thing. You just show up and it's dollars, it's cents, it's math.
Yeah.
As we know from watching this pod and listening, money is often highly irrational.
Yes.
And it has to do more with your mindset and your emotions than anything else. 80 to 90% of it is your mindset. 10 to 20 is the actual dollars and cents, the actual math, the specific knowledge that you need.
100%. No, I think that's 100%. It's so important to utilize external resources. Yeah. I mean, you want to do your absolute best to have the best partnership you can. You know, the better the partnership, the happier the life.
Yep. And it all comes down to consistent communication and being willing to sit there with your partner, basically stare naked at your inadequacies and be willing to talk about that openly so that we can both advance together.
I agree.
There's too many times that people, you know, and then we can move into different segments as to should you combine finances, should you not combine finances, and all these things. If we don't have these top 10 already set up, then those discussions are going to be just fraught with a bunch of other issues if you don't first set up having open communication.
I agree. And to those who can hear the F-16 fighter jets flying overhead, we're sorry about that. They've been going crazy lately.
Yeah, I don't know what's
They've
going
been flying so... You should hear it by my house. They are loud over there. No podcast recordings over there. But yeah, I see we get into that action step.
Yeah, action step for this one is after you listen to the pod, bring your partner in, have them listen to the pod as well. Yeah. But it's very important now that we start to strengthen our financial foundation with our partner and enhance communication with them. So here's what I suggest. Number one is we set up a money date. Yep. My wife and I have a money date every month. Every 30 days, we go out to a nice dinner. We sit down. I pull out my iPad. We look at the spreadsheet. We just kind of talk about it. Every week as well, or every 2 weeks, depending on how busy we are, we'll sit down and we'll go through our budget. And we'll just kind of talk about it. Hey, how much you spend this week? Do you feel comfortable with that? We try to do this from a judgment-free zone. So first things first, you don't have to get to that point, but every month or so, or quarter, set up a money date where you're going to go out and sit down with your partner, talk about money. How much time a week do we dedicate to our work?
Yeah.
At least 40 hours. Let's dedicate an hour to talking about our money, because that is 50% of the equation to being good with money is how much money we're actually spending.
Yeah, it's like if you were in a boat and you're sailing 40 hours, but you didn't spend the first hour picking a destination.
Yep.
Like you're just going in the wrong direction.
Yep. So on that date, the second thing I would like you to do is explore each other's money mindset. Ask the question, what did money mean to you growing up as a kid? What did your parents teach you about money? You know, and then the final thing is make sure that we have the same goal and alignment. And the way that I like to do that is in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, when we wake up together, or when you wake up, what do you want your life to be? Yeah. Write that down on a separate piece of papers. Write down the things that bring you the most joy and see, are we aligned in our values and are we moving in the same direction? Because what you don't want to do is have two diverging boats moving in different directions. You always want to go together because you go together faster and farther when you're a strong, united team.
Absolutely. And, if you're going in different directions from the start, by the time you get older, 60, 70, you're in completely different areas. Completely different areas. So, yeah, have those conversations, talk about what we talked about, think about what we thought about, think about what we talked about. And,
and it could be just little things, right? Like little discussions, because your goals, everything that you want are going to change as you move on. That's why you need to constantly have this communication. Just think of a flight that is leaving from LA to New York. If it is 1 degree off, it ends up somewhere in like North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So that's why you all constantly need to discuss and align your guys' selves together.
Yep. You got to continue to keep yourself on the correct path. But with that being said, remember, open communication is shared, and financial goals are crucial for a healthy marriage and really healthy relationship, not just with a married partner or a couple, but also with your friends as well. It's important to talk about money with your friends and be on the path to financial freedom with them. Because it's a sad world when you're financially free and you ask your friends to come hang out and they can't because they don't have any money. But yeah, man. I think we get to the conclusion. Yeah. So thank you for tuning in for another helpful episode of the Fi Guys. We hope these 10 ways to prevent your money from ruining your marriage provided valuable tools for navigating the financial landscape with your relationship. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue delivering content that matters to you. Remember, a harmonious financial journey is within reach. Keep those lines of communication open, set shared goals, and watch your relationship thrive. Next time, for more enriching discussions, make sure to follow, have the notification bell on, all that fun stuff. But until then, I'm Don. He's Chris. And signing off for the Fi Guys.
Yep. Remember the fee for the show. If you found any value today, please tell a friend about the Fi Guys podcast, and we will see you on Friday for Fi Friday feedback.
Yep. See you later. Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.